Okay, students, several of you were having a little bit of problem with height versus slant height of a cone. So I've got a little cone diagram I've pulled up here. In the cone, you have the radius, you have the height, and then this piece here is the slant height. The height is basically the distance. If you drop straight down and you go perpendicular to the base of the cone, that is your height. If you measure along the side of the cone, like this edge of the cone, like the outside of a sugar cone or a paper cone that you might get, like a disposable water container, snow cone, something like that. So that is what you are talking about for the slant height that I've marked in green. The height is going just straight down to the bottom of the cone. You can notice that this in the cross section makes a right triangle. So that means if I have a couple of these, I can do the Pythagorean theorem. So let's look at number two. Number two was asking for surface area. And surface area, I need the area of the base, which is going to be pi r squared, plus I have to do the lateral area, which is pi r slant height. Now it makes sense with surface area that I would be using the slant height, because notice the green slant height line is on the outside edge of the cone, and the height is on the inside edge. So the height is not even on the surface. So if I need surface area, I need what's on the surface, what's on the outside of the cone, which is my slant height. Now, when I go forward from this, they did not give me slant height for problem number two. They did give me a diameter of 1.8. So I'm going to go ahead and label my diameter as 1.8, diameter all the way across, 1.8. And my height is 3. Now, they didn't give me the slant height, which I actually need, and they also didn't give me my radius. So for starters, I need to figure out my radius. So my radius is half of my slant height, half of my diameter. So half of my diameter would be 0.9. So I'm going to start with Pythagorean theorem, 3 squared plus 0.9 squared equals c squared. And we'll pull up Desmos and figure out what that's going to be.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have to put that into my Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to have 0.9 squared plus my height was 3 squared, which is going to give me 9.81. I really need to put all of that inside a square root. So I'm going to copy it, go down to the next line and do a square root of all of that. Should be 3.13. So if I go back to my other page now, I have a C as 3.13. Now my slant height, I've just found out, is 3.13. So now I'm ready to use my formula, and I can plug in pi. My radius is 0.9 squared plus pi. Radius again is 0.9. And then slant height, 3.13. If I go back to Desmos and type it in, that should finish up that problem. I'll leave that for y'all to try on your own. But if you do it correctly, you should get an answer close to 11. On number 4, it was a similar problem. But this time they were asking for volume. But the issue here is they gave me information once again. They gave me my slant height, the outside piece of 13. They also this time were nice and gave me my actual radius of 5, but they did not give me my height. And the formula for volume of a cone is the volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. It makes sense that the height, the inside piece here, is in the formula for volume, because the height is what's inside the cone. It goes right down through the middle of the cone. So for slant height, I needed the outside piece. For height, I need the inside piece. So now what I'm going to have to do is use Pythagorean theorem again. So I'm going to have 5 squared plus h squared equals 13 squared. So h squared, 25 plus h squared is 139. And subtract 25, h squared is 144. And then that's nice and pretty. I can take the square root and h would be 12. So the height is equal to 12. And that's the number I would need to plug into this formula, and also plug in my radius. I do not need to plug in my 13 anywhere into the volume formula, but they did have to give me that so I could use it in my Pythagorean theorem and get the height. At that point, you should just be able to substitute in, type it in the Desmos, and get your final answer. I'll leave it to you to do that, but you should get something about close to 314. You'll have a decimal with it, but it'll be close to 314 if you do it correctly. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact me. Hope this helps.